A forest goes silent before anyone understands why. No warning label appears in the sky. No creature knows an empire is ending. A tiny mammal hides under roots. A giant dinosaur keeps breathing in the dark. And above them, dust begins stealing the sun. But this story does not begin with the asteroid. It begins much earlier. It begins after an even greater disaster. Before dinosaurs ruled the world, Earth had already been broken. Around 252 million years ago, life suffered its deepest wound. Scientists call it the Permian-Triassic Extinction. Many people call it the Great Dying. The name is not an exaggeration. Oceans lost most of their living communities. Land ecosystems were shattered. Forests collapsed. Food chains snapped. The planet did not look ready for a new empire. It looked exhausted. This is the first hidden lesson of dinosaurs. They did not rise from a paradise. They rose from wreckage. The world after the Great Dying was hot, unstable, and difficult. The supercontinent Pangaea stretched across the planet like one enormous scar. Far from the coast, the interior was dry and harsh. Rain could be rare. Heat could be punishing. Many familiar animals were gone forever. The survivors did not inherit comfort. They inherited empty space. That empty space mattered. Evolution often begins quietly after catastrophe. At first, no one would have called dinosaurs rulers. They were not mountain-sized giants. They were not thunderous monsters. They were small, fast, and easy to overlook. The early Triassic world belonged to many strange reptiles. Some looked like crocodiles. Some resembled mammal cousins. Some walked low to the ground. Others experimented with new ways of moving. Among them were archosaurs. That name means ruling reptiles. It was a fitting name, but not yet for dinosaurs alone. Archosaurs included the ancestors of crocodiles. They also included the line that would lead to dinosaurs. For millions of years, dinosaurs were only one experiment. Not the biggest, not the most obvious, not the guaranteed winner. That is the quiet part. Evolution does not announce its future champions. It tests body plans in difficult worlds. One important difference was posture. Many reptiles sprawled outward. Their legs came from the sides of their bodies. Early dinosaurs moved differently. Their legs stood more directly under them. That changed everything. It made movement more efficient. It helped with speed. It helped with endurance. It gave them a new mechanical advantage. Small advantages can become giant histories. By about 230 million years ago, true dinosaurs had appeared. In what is now Argentina, fossils reveal an ancient community. There were animals like Herrerasaurus. There were small, agile predators. There were early forms testing the dinosaur design. Some were about the size of a large dog. Some were closer to a human in length. None of them looked like the later legends. No Brachiosaurus yet. No Triceratops yet. No Tyrannosaurus Rex. Only the beginning. A body plan. A chance. A changing planet. The Triassic was not gentle. Pangaea began to pull itself apart. Deep cracks opened across the supercontinent. Volcanoes released gases on a massive scale. Climate systems shifted again. Life was forced through another filter. Around 201 million years ago, another mass extinction struck. Many large competitors disappeared. For dinosaurs, this disaster became an opening. Not because they planned it. Not because they were invincible. Because they survived when others did not. After that, the world changed ownership. The Jurassic opened like a new stage. The broken supercontinent slowly separated into new land masses. Coastlines expanded. Moisture increased in many regions. The world became greener. Forests spread. Ferns, conifers, cycads, and ginkgos filled ancient landscapes. Food became more abundant. And dinosaurs began to transform. This is where the word giant becomes real. The Jurassic did not simply make dinosaurs bigger. It created an evolutionary race in size, reach, and survival. The sauropods became the great symbols of that race. Animals like Diplodocus stretched across the land. Apatosaurus carried massive bodies on pillar-like legs. Brachiosaurus lifted its neck toward high vegetation. These were not just large animals. They were walking ecosystems. Their footsteps changed soil. Their feeding shaped forests. Their bodies forced predators to evolve new strategies. A sauropod was not easy prey. A healthy adult could be too massive to attack casually. Size became armor. But size also created problems. A huge body needs oxygen. It needs support. It needs efficient movement. Sauropods solved these problems in remarkable ways. Many of their bones had air spaces. That made parts of the skeleton lighter. Their breathing system was likely bird-like in important ways. Air sacs helped move oxygen efficiently. Their long necks gave them access to broad feeding zones. They could sweep through vegetation without moving the whole body constantly. That saved energy. That small design detail mattered. A neck was not just a neck. It was a feeding machine. It was a survival tool. It was an answer to a green world. But a world full of herbivores creates opportunity for hunters. The Jurassic had predators built for violence and timing. Allosaurus became one of the great hunters of this age. It was not a copy of Tyrannosaurus Rex. It belonged to a different chapter. Its skull-teeth, arms, and hunting style tell another story. Predators did not need one perfect design. They needed workable designs for their world. Allosaurus shared landscapes with armored herbivores. Stegosaurus carried tall plates along its back. Its tail ended in dangerous spikes. That tail was not decoration. It was a serious weapon. Here, evolution looked like an arms race. Teeth improved. Armor improved. Speed mattered. Mass mattered. Awareness mattered. Every predator shaped its prey. Every prey animal shaped its predator. This balance gave the Jurassic its drama. Not endless monster battles. Something deeper. A living system adjusting to itself. At the same time, the skies were no longer empty. Pterosaurs flew above coastlines, forests, and inland waters. Some were small and delicate. Others grew into astonishing flyers. They were not dinosaurs. That is important. They were flying reptiles living alongside dinosaurs. The seas also had their own rulers. Ichthyosaurs moved through water with fish-like bodies. Pliosaurs carried enormous heads and powerful jaws. They were not dinosaurs either. They were marine reptiles. The Mesozoic was bigger than dinosaurs alone. It was an entire world of reptile dominance. Land, sea, and sky each had their giants. The Jurassic was a golden age, but golden ages do not last unchanged. As millions of years passed, continents kept drifting. Seas rose and fell. Climates shifted. New plants appeared. New relationships formed. Then came the Cretaceous. This was not the fading end. It was the most diverse chapter. By the Cretaceous, the continents looked more familiar. They were not identical to today. But the old single world feeling was gone. Separation created isolated evolutionary laboratories. Different continents produced different dinosaur communities. Life became more regional, more specialized, more surprising. Flowering plants spread during this time. Their arrival changed landscapes in ways still visible today. Flowers change food webs. They change insects. They change seeds, fruits, and habitats. The dinosaur world was becoming more colorful and complex. And dinosaurs themselves were not always scaly giants. Many had feathers. This idea once sounded strange to the public. Now it is central to modern dinosaur science. Feathers did not begin only for flight. They could help with warmth. They could help with display. They could help animals signal to each other. A small feathered dinosaur may have looked more like a strange bird, not like the smooth-skinned movie monster many people imagined. Velociraptor is a good example. It was not the oversized creature popular films made famous. Real Velociraptor was smaller. It likely had feathers. It was still dangerous, but in a different way. The truth is often more interesting than the myth. The Cretaceous also gave us the icons. Triceratops stood with 3 horns and a massive frill. Parasaurolophus carried a long crest like a living instrument. Ankylosaurs moved like armored tanks. Hadrosaurs gathered in herds. And near the end, Tyrannosaurus rex appeared. T-Rex did not rule the entire dinosaur age. It arrived very late, closer to us than to the first dinosaurs. That fact changes the scale of the story. The dinosaur empire lasted so long that its legends never met. Stegosaurus was already ancient history when T-Rex lived. T-Rex was not just famous because it was big. It combined size, senses, muscle, and bite force. Its skull was built for crushing power. Its teeth were thick, deep, and damaging. Its eyes faced forward enough to help judge distance. Its body was not random terror. It was a working predator design. But even T-Rex was not a simple villain. It was an animal. It needed food. It avoided unnecessary injury. It lived in an ecosystem with risks and limits. One of its great neighbors was Triceratops. Their fossils suggest they shared the same late Cretaceous world. One carried crushing jaws. The other carried horns, mass, and defense. Their possible encounters became legendary. But the real drama was ecological. Predator and prey were locked inside the same system. Neither side was evil. Both were solutions. Meanwhile, some dinosaurs pushed size to the edge again. In South America, giant titanosaurs walked across Cretaceous landscapes. Argentinosaurus may have reached extraordinary mass. Exact numbers remain debated, but its scale was almost beyond ordinary imagination. A living animal that large turns biology into engineering. Bones, muscles, lungs, blood flow, and feeding all become challenges. Yet evolution found a way. For a moment, life seemed almost limitless. To feel the scale, imagine a clock for the dinosaur age. At the first minute, the pioneers are still small. They moved through heat, dust, and dangerous competition. For a long time, nothing guarantees their future. Then the Triassic ending clears the board. The Jurassic expands the stage. The Cretaceous fills it with color, flowers, feathers, and giants. This was not one simple world. It was a long sequence of changing worlds. A dinosaur from the early Triassic would not recognize late Cretaceous Earth. The plants were different. The coastlines were different. The competitors were different. Even the air of the story felt different. That is why dinosaurs are often misunderstood. People compress them into one picture. A roaring predator. A swampy jungle. A giant tail dragging behind. But the real history is much wider. Dinosaurs lived through continental breakup. They lived through rising seas. They lived through new forests. They lived through the spread of flowers. They lived through countless local extinctions and recoveries. Their success was not one trick. It was adaptation repeated again and again. Some became huge browsers. Some became fast hunters. Some became armored defenders. Some became beaked plant eaters. Some became feathered, agile, and bird-like. Some eventually became birds. That range is the real empire. Not just size, not just teeth, variety. Variation is what made them powerful. It also makes their ending more tragic. This is why a timeline matters. Without time, dinosaurs become a single costume. With time, they become a living history. Their rise was not instant. Their rule was not simple. Their fall was not a moral lesson. It was nature under pressure. It was chance meeting design. It was survival meeting catastrophe. The asteroid did not erase a tired dynasty. It struck a world still full of experiments, a world still inventing new forms, a world where life had not finished speaking. That is what makes the ending feel so sharp. The dinosaur empire was not dying from weakness. It was still diverse. It was still adapting. It was still filling the world. Then the sky changed. About 66 million years ago, an asteroid struck Earth. The impact site is now linked to Chicxulub in Mexico. The object was roughly 10 kilometers wide. It hit with unimaginable energy. The first minutes were local apocalypse. Rock vaporized, firestorms ignited, earthquakes shook the crust, tsunamis raced across ancient seas. But the worst damage did not stop there. Dust and aerosols rose into the atmosphere. Sunlight weakened. Photosynthesis collapsed in many places. Plants suffered. Plant eaters suffered. Predators followed. A global food chain can look powerful. Then one broken link reveals its fragility. Large land animals were especially vulnerable. Many animals over about 25 kilograms disappeared. Non-avian dinosaurs vanished. The great bodies that once ruled forests and floodplains were gone. An empire of more than 160 million years ended. Not slowly enough to understand itself. Not dramatically enough for witnesses to name it. Just biologically, chemically, and physically. The world became darker, then quieter, then different. But extinction is not always a full stop. Sometimes it is a comma written in bone. Small animals survived in burrows, water seeds, and shadows. Some mammals endured. Some reptiles endured. Some amphibians endured. And one dinosaur lineage endured too. Birds. Modern birds are living dinosaurs. More specifically, they descend from theropod dinosaurs. That means dinosaurs did not disappear completely. The non-avian dinosaurs died out, but the avian dinosaurs continued. A pigeon on a sidewalk carries that inheritance. A chicken in a yard carries that inheritance. A hawk turning in the sky carries that inheritance. The age of dinosaurs never vanished as cleanly as it seems. It changed shape. It shrank. It learned to fly. It hid inside the ordinary. That is the final turn in the story. The greatest empire in natural history ended. Yet its descendants still cross our windows every morning. Dinosaurs teach us that dominance is temporary. They teach us that survival is not always about strength. Sometimes survival belongs to smallness. Sometimes to flexibility. Sometimes to being overlooked. They rose after disaster. They ruled through change. They fell under a darkened sky. And still a trace of them sings at dawn. When you hear a bird outside, the story is not over. It is only speaking in a smaller voice.